So I get all my layers on, and it's the Leaning Tower of Berry Cake. Hey guys, welcome back to my place. For this video, I wanted to bake a super simple cake that required very minimal cake frosting experience because I am the worst cake froster there is. But when I saw this Berry Buttermilk Cake in the Bake From Scratch spring issue, I thought, man, I can do that. That looks easy. Sure. But here you go. Here's my attempt at baking this Berry Buttermilk Cake from the Bake From Scratch magazine. Okay, so if you're brave enough or have time to make the sugared flowers and berries for the cake topping, I suggest you make those first because they do take a little while to dry out. And it's also kind of tedious having to paint little petals. Yeah, make those first and let those dry while you get your cake ready. For the sugared flowers and berries, you will need 1 egg white, organic food safe edible flowers. Make sure they're edible. You don't want to get food poisoned or flower poisoned. You'll also need some berries and fine granulated sugar. In a small bowl, whisk the egg white until frothy. Then, using a food safe paintbrush, you're going to paint the egg white onto the flower petals until just wet. So I made the mistake of painting on way too much egg whites and then dipping the flower into the sugar. Yeah, don't do that. Make sure you just put a little bit of egg white on the flower petals, just enough to cover it, and then sprinkle the sugar on top. Don't do what I did and dip the flowers in the sugar because then it's going to get all clumped and it's not going to look as pretty. Once you're done painting and sugaring your flowers, make sure to put them on a wire rack so they can completely dry. To make the Berry Buttermilk Cake, you will need 3/4 cup unsalted butter softened, 1/2 cup granulated sugar, 2 large eggs, 2 cups all-purpose flour, 1 tablespoon baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon salt, 1 cup buttermilk, 1/3 cup sliced blackberries, 1/3 cup chopped strawberries, 1/3 cup whole blueberries, and 1/2 teaspoon vanilla extract. Okay, start by preheating your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit. Then prepare your cake pans, making sure to spray it with some baking spray and lining it with parchment paper. This recipe requires 4 6-inch cake pans, round cake pans, and of course I only had 3, so I had to wait until all my 3 cakes were done baking before I can bake the 4th. So you might want to plan ahead for this as well. In the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, beat butter and sugar until creamy for about 3 to 4 minutes. Scrape bowl as needed. Add eggs one at a time, beating well after each addition. In a medium bowl, whisk together flour, baking powder, and salt. With the mixer on low speed, slowly add flour mixture to butter mixture, alternating with buttermilk. So you're going to begin and end with the flour. Beat just until combined after each addition. Last, you want to fold in the berries and the vanilla. Divide batter among the prepared pans, smoothing tops with a spatula. Bake for about 25 minutes or until a wooden toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Let the cakes cool in the pans for 10 minutes before transferring them to a wire rack to cool completely. So while you wait for that to bake, you can start on the frosting, and the magazine does suggest that you do not bring the ingredients for the frosting to room temperature. So fight the urge to bring it out to room temperature because the frosting is very soft and you're going to be very upset if you have all this frosting sliding off your cake. So make sure it is cold out of the fridge when you start making the frosting. For the Mascarpone Crème Fraîche Frosting, you will need 1 8-ounce container of mascarpone cheese, 4 cups confectioner's sugar, half a cup creme fraiche, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and half a teaspoon of salt. In the bowl of a stand mixer fitted with a paddle attachment, beat mascarpone at medium speed until creamy. Add the sugar 1 cup at a time, beating until smooth. Add creme fraiche, vanilla, and salt, beating until combined. Now comes the fun part, putting it all together. Okay, so I started assembling my cake by using the thickest layer that I had on the bottom, but the magazine did not say anything about cutting off the tops of your cake layers, so I assumed that it was going to be okay to just layer the cake with the layers as is, and I wish I would have trusted my gut and just cut them off anyways, but I wanted to stick to the books for you guys. So yeah, if I would make any suggestions, I would say if your top's domed as much as mine did, cut them off. Do it because your cake is going to be a mess. When it came to frosting the middle layers, I used my handy dandy scoop to measure out the frosting. However, I didn't use enough frosting, as I later found out when I was finished making the cake, because I had a ton of frosting left over. So try using it all up, because I had at least a cup and a half left when I was done making the cake. So yeah, use more frosting than I did. So I get all my layers on, and it's the Leaning Tower of Berry Cake! But you know what? I wasn't surprised because my cake layers were not even. So I was just kind of bracing myself and hoping that my cake wouldn't lean over and just fall on the floor. But lastly, I just did my best to kind of pile the berries and the flowers on the top, hoping that they wouldn't slide off, and they actually held up pretty well. So it turned out okay, and it lasted long enough for me to take some pictures, so you're welcome. Alright, so now it's time for me to taste the cake. I noticed right away when I sliced it that there's not enough frosting in the middle, but that's because I was afraid that it was just gonna squish out once I layered it all. But now you know, don't be afraid, don't be stingy to put that frosting in there. But yeah, let's taste it. It definitely reminds me of pancakes. That's the only way I can describe it. It tastes like pancakes. That frosting is really good, and I'm kind of upset that I didn't use all of it. I mean, I saw a lot of frosting left. Maybe I can just like put a dollop on the side there. I like it. And that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, make sure you give it a big old thumbs up. And if you like this type of content, you should consider subscribing, because I'm trying to make a community of home bakers who like baking stuff just like me, just like you. So yeah, consider subscribing so that we can talk and share our love for baking, really. So make sure to follow me on social media as well. And as always, bake, be happy, and I'll see you guys here next time. Bye!